What's going on, everybody? Got a couple stories I want to go over with you here, but I want to start with Idris Elba making some sense, which is nice to hear, especially when it comes out of Hollywood. You don't hear that very much. Elba, I've always liked him. I think he's a really good actor, and it's nice that he's not a complete idiot like most people are in Hollywood. So that's always nice. But he's commenting on stuff like Gone with the Wind being pulled. So if you don't know, in case you didn't hear and you lived under a rock, Gone with the Wind got pulled from HBO Max pretty much the second day after the service launched, I think. It was real quick. HBO Max came out, and then they pulled Gone with the Wind. I think it's when all the stuff was going on, like when it was at its peak. In some ways, it still is. But they pulled Gone with the Wind, and they brought it back. They gave it a long documentary or something before. It's really stupid. When I actually like his solution here. Idris Elba says we should just update the rating system, basically. So a lot of movies, when they were given ratings, so here's a good example. I bet if Ghostbusters OG or even Back to the Future were to come out today, they would come out PG-13. There's a couple of things in those movies I think that wouldn't fly as a PG movie nowadays. They would update to PG-13. So you add it to the ratings, you know. When you look at a rating, especially for some stuff, like a video game, it'll tell you in a little bubble like what to expect in the game. I don't think that necessarily counts as a trigger warning. That's kind of always been a part of the rating system. I think that this is a decent solution that he has. Just update the rating. So just, if you're going to put a movie out, just get it like a new rating. They have to do this with video games. When they have an older game that's getting re-released, they have to update the rating. It doesn't seem like that's the same with movies. I don't think movies quite work like that. But I know, like, when it comes to Nintendo, for example, I'm pretty sure whenever they go to re-release a game, they have to get it rated by the ESRB again. And, you know, sometimes the rating changes, sometimes it doesn't. But I think that would be a pretty fair solution for the movie and TV thing. And then you wouldn't have to pull it. What I like about his message is he's very against pulling it. You have a lot of episodes that are being pulled, like right here in the corner in related news, all the TV shows removed from Netflix, HBO Max, and so on and so on. Instead of don't pull them, don't censor anything, just update the ratings. I think that's a fair thing, since a lot of people don't seem to be able to understand that some things are just old and were made in different times, which he talks about. Let's go over what he says here, because there's some good stuff. Luther star Idris Elba has advocated for a rating system that warns viewers of a film or show with outdated or offensive viewpoints. Speaking to the Radio Times magazine for this week's issue, the Emmy-winning actor spoke about the removal of shows which contain offensive jokes from streaming platforms. I'm a very firm believer in freedom of speech, said Elba, but the thing about freedom of speech is it's not suitable for everybody. I don't 100% agree with that. I think freedom of speech is for everybody, but he makes a little bit of a better statement in a second. That's why we have a rating system. We tell you that this particular content is rated U, PG, 15, 18, X. And he says, I don't know anything about the X. But that's the part I agree with him on. Just update the ratings. I'm not saying come up with another system, which it's not entirely clear if that's what he's advocating for. But I would think that he's thinking just update the rating. And in some ways, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, some movies like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, I think would have been PG-13 if they came out today. So I think in some ways that makes a little bit of sense. If you have to think about Ghostbusters, remember they were like smoking in that movie and drinking. There was a lot of Keymaster and Gatekeeper stuff going on in that movie. There's some jokes in there that were a little bit more adult, and I think that if that movie came out today, that movie would for sure be PG-13, 100%. I don't have any doubt in my mind that movie would be PG-13. But they don't re-rate these movies when they come out. Like Ghostbusters was just in the theater again. Technically, I believe it should have been re-rated, but they don't do that for movies. And that's always kind of been funny to me because they do it for video games. So I don't know. I think that that's a fair compromise for both sides. I can get down with this. So Elba, whose sitcom in the long running is returning to Sky One for a third series, added that racism should be no different from Shaqism with a rating system in place of alerting viewers to these jokes, viewpoints, and themes within a show. To mock the truth, you have to know the truth, but to censor these themes within a show to pull it. Wait a second. I think viewers should know that people made shows like this. He continues, out of respect for the time and the movement, commissioners and archive holders pulling things they think are exceptionally tone deaf at this time, fair enough and good for you. But I think moving forward, people should know that freedom of speech is accepted, but the audience should know what they're getting into. I think that that's a fair compromise. That way you don't censor anything and you don't change anything. You just update the ratings. I don't think that that's a terrible idea. I think you just keep it. You keep the same rating system, though, as we already have. I don't like the idea of trigger warnings or any of that stupid stuff. I think that that's ridiculous. Keep your G, your PG, your PG-13, your R, your NC-17, and your little context in it, and that's that. But you don't censor things and you don't change things. I think that works, and I think that that's fair. I like his stance on freedom of speech, though, that it should exist and you should not pull all this stuff that's been made. And I agree with it. It's nice that somewhere in a sea of idiots, there's one celebrity that's not a complete fool. So I like that. Next up, there's one more thing I wanted to go over real quick. And that's a Star Wars Lower Decks show. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this trailer because a lot of people have already talked about it. The quick TLDR on my thoughts of the trailer is that it sucks. Star Trek has been in the toilet for a long time, in my opinion, and it's not going to get any better until they get that Alex Kurtzman guy out of there and replace him with somebody that actually cares about the show in the franchise. But anyway, they have this stupid show coming out. It's pretty much Rick and Morty meets Star Trek, which is a terrible idea, in my opinion. And it seems that most people agreed with me. As you can see, the likes and dislikes have been turned off, as have comments.
You serious?
Well, they don't like that too much, that people are criticizing the show, and they're apparently going around and giving false copyright blocks from people that are reacting to the trailer. So one notable person that I know had that happen to him was that Star Wars girl. They actually blocked her video. I believe it also happened to Gary from Nerdrotic and Overlord DVD, Mr. Doomcock. I believe it happened to him as well. And a few other people. I'm not sure the entire list of people, so you have to forgive me if I'm missing you, but they did go around slapping video with copyright. I think it's just the block, though, so you can't watch it anywhere. I'm not sure if they got a strike. So there's a little bit of a difference in that. I believe that they got a strike, or not a strike, a block. Okay, so it happened to Grace Randolph as well. So, yeah, they're in full desperation mode, turning off comments. And the comments were very, very, very hilarious and nasty towards the show, by the way. Before they turned them off, there was a guy, they went and captured all of them. This lovely account right here, STD Sucks. It does suck, let me tell you. Went and captured all of these beautiful comments that you can pause and read through if you would like. They are not very happy for the show. Look at this. Going for the double tap and making sure Star Trek is dead, I see. Bold move, CBS. Bold move. They're not very happy with the show. Most people aren't. Most people seem to think the show is a pile of crap. Everything Star Wars is crap. Picard, Star Trek Tumblr, I like that. It is kind of like Star Trek Tumblr. Picard was terrible. Star Trek Discovery is terrible. And they just keep pumping out more shows that nobody likes. It blows my mind. But what I think is really stupid is going around trying to silence people, because it just makes it louder. All right, this is what happened with Naughty Dog, and this is what really got so many people upset and angry with them, is when they went around and hitting people with copyright strikes because they were talking about trailers. It really upset a lot of people, and I really do think if they had handled that situation better, I think they would have gotten a lot of criticism for the game, but I don't think it would have been as bad because, they wouldn't have been taking people's livelihoods away like they were trying to do. I do think if they had handled that situation better, things would have been a little bit, less hostile against Naughty Dog, and people would have probably moved on a lot sooner, but, they went scorched earth, and that's what happens. And CBS seems like they want to do that as well and go scorched earth. But like I said, I don't think they've given copyright strikes. I believe it's just blocks, which still sucks because nobody can watch your video. It's essentially just hiding it. They're just like taking it down. And then if you fight it, they'll probably strike you. So, it's ridiculous. And these are fair use videos that people are doing. You're just going over trailers. And it's just ridiculous to me because somebody might watch that reaction, even if they're making fun of it, and say, hey, I might want to watch this. And it might get you a fan that you can win over. Maybe the show will be good and you'll prove everybody wrong. But now you're just going scorched earth and you're making people angry. So, I don't know. Terrible marketing. Terrible idea, CBS. Be better. Release everybody's videos. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Also, if you would, please share the video. Please throw a like up. Make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.